G'day guys, just Rob here, doing another video for you. Now I just sort of had this idea of doing this video perhaps a few weeks ago, and have been sort of meaning to do it over the last, I think it's 2 or 3 days. I've just been a bit slack, I think. And a lot of other people have done a sort of similar sort of thing recently as well. Doing like their top 5 or top 10 movies of 2011. I thought I might perhaps do it perhaps a little bit different. Because I haven't sort of seen all the movies of 2011, so I think it's perhaps a bit unfair of me perhaps to sort of do my top 5 or top 10 when I haven't sort of seen all the movies. So what I might do instead, I might perhaps just I've sort of got a list here of all the movies that I've sort of seen. I went to Wikipedia and just printed out a list of all the movies that have been done in 2011. I'm just going to might just sort of go through each one, the ones that I've seen, and then perhaps at the end I might just sort of give you a list of top 5 or whatever it's going to be. So a bit push for time, so we'll get onto it. First one I got there is Drive Angry with Amber Heard and Nicolas Cage. Which I thought was actually quite a good movie. I haven't sort of seen necessarily a lot of Nicolas Cage's movies. I thought this was just a really good, good sort of, popcorn flick, as they say. Good action and decent sort of storyline and good car chasing scenes, and just thought it was a pretty decent movie. Next one is The Adjustment Bureau, which I did a bit of a review of in my DVD update. I got it a few months ago. I think I said, when I sort of saw the trailer for it, I thought wasn't all that really impressed. I thought it was going to be a bit of a bit of a rip-off, say, of Inception and Matrix sort of thing. Just a little bit silly. But I actually thought it was a pretty good movie. I thought that really though. Good sort of characters and decent sort of storyline to it. It wasn't sort of what I was expecting. And I think it's just good sort of chemistry between Matt Damon and the female lead. I can't remember what her name was. Anyway, that's definitely a good movie. I got it on Blu-ray, so it's a decent movie. Thor, which I think I said before, I really didn't like that one much. I did actually watch it the other day again for the second time, and perhaps I liked it perhaps a little bit more. The only thing the problem I had was that it was just that when they were sort of on Earth, it just the whole thing just seemed to sort of fall apart a lot. Cause some people say that Natalie Portman's character was had really bad acting in it, but I just think she just didn't have enough screen time, enough sort of time to sort of bring out a character, and it just seemed the whole Earth sort of part just seemed to be sort of really undeveloped, and it just whereas when they're on the sort of Thor type, superhero type, sort of scenes, they are a lot more interesting and seem to be a lot more developed and stuff. Where just when they're on Earth, it just didn't really seem like there's no sort of chemistry, say, between Natalie Portman and the Thor. I can't remember the actor's name, but it just didn't sort of gel very well together, and other than that, I thought it would have been a fairly decent movie. Just felt when they were on Earth in those scenes, the whole thing just sort of seemed to fall apart a lot. X-Men First Class, which I saw, I think it was just at a friend's place, and they just sort of put it on, and just sort of started to watch it. I actually thought that was pretty good. I mean, it was like, I think it would have been over 2 hours long, but it didn't really seem to be that long. I think I've seen the first X-Men movie, I think, a long time ago, and thought it was alright, but I haven't sort of seen the sequels after that. I should perhaps go back and watch them, perhaps. But I thought it was actually quite good, X-Men First Class. Good sort of origin story. The only thing perhaps it just felt a little bit perhaps undeveloped. I mean, I think this is going to be a problem, say, with the Avengers movie too, like, because you sort of get all these characters, all the superhero characters, all in the one movie, and they're all sort of fighting necessarily for screen time, aren't they? Like, because you've got Captain America's got the whole movie based on him, and whole movie for Thor, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's going to be hard necessarily to sort of put all these characters, all the superhero characters in one movie, and sort of trying to bring out their storyline. I think that might be a little bit hard. The next one was Bad Teacher, with I think it's Justin Timberlake and Cameron Diaz. I haven't sort of, I don't necessarily watch a lot of these movies, so I found this one really sort of interesting. It was really sort of, I don't know, it was just really sort of offensive, and it was just silly, and you know, which I suppose a lot of these type of movies are like, I guess. But I just sort of found it really interesting that was just really like it's sort of things you couldn't really get away with in real life. Like it was a bit over the top. Like, a bit of a spoiler, I suppose, for you, but there's a scene where Cameron Diaz gives a bra to one of his students just so he looks like he's scored with her, or he's scored with a girl or something. It just like you could obviously couldn't do that in real life, and it's just but I thought that was a decent movie. Not something I necessarily watch, not necessarily my cup of tea, I suppose, but it wasn't a bad movie. Transformers, Dark of the Moon. I think I said before, I'm not a huge fan of these sort of movies. I just feel they should sort of spend a bit more time perhaps on the storyline to them, instead of trying to make them. It's not nice sort of popcorn flick and nice CGI action and really intense. But I just feel you sort of got to spend a bit more time on the storyline to make it. To make any movie a decent movie, you've got to have at least have a half decent storyline to it. But I might perhaps revisit them again, perhaps those movies, and I'll perhaps do another review perhaps of that. So I think I've only seen each movie once, so I'll watch them again at some point. Captain America, First Avenger, which I said before I really didn't like, and I watched it again the other day and I really didn't like. Well, I don't know. It's not a bad movie. It's just for some reason I just found it boring. I I was sitting in the theatre, and when I watched it again, I just found it a little bit boring. I just couldn't sort of get into the storyline, and just couldn't. I don't know. I just didn't find it interesting, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people seem to like it when it first came out, and then I've been on the forums recently, and a lot of people agree with me. They really didn't like it either. I just found it, for some reason, I just found it a bit boring, and I don't know. Perhaps, wouldn't say perhaps undeveloped, but it just seemed a bit. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it was just a bit dull of a movie. So anyway, the Inbetweeners movie. I hadn't sort of seen a lot of the TV series before I watched the Inbetweeners movie. Once I thought I watched the movie, I did actually sort of go back the next day and spend all day watching series 1 to 3 of the Inbetweeners. I just thought it was a really good movie, really funny. It wasn't. There's a lot of sort of silliness and a lot of crassness to us, and in your face sort of stuff. But it wasn't necessarily. Wasn't overplayed, and wasn't. I find a lot of other movies, like American movies, that just really try and make it offensive and try and make it funny, and I think they just try too hard. And whereas with the Inbetweeners, it wasn't overdone. It was it was a bit crass, but it was funny at the same time. So I think definitely if you're a fan of the TV series, you should definitely watch the movie. It was definitely a really good movie. Shark Night 3D, which I thought was okay. And I don't mind sort of shark attack movies or crocodile attack movies or whatever. I thought it was reasonably good. Nothing new, I suppose. And I didn't really like perhaps the twist towards the end. I just thought that was a bit silly. I thought, really. But it wasn't. Yeah, I think it was too bad of a movie. Contagion. That was another movie that I was a bit bored with it when I was sort of watching in the cinema. I think it's a good movie. I think it might have just been me, and perhaps on that day it might have been a bit of a an uninterested mood or something. I think it's. I should watch it again, that one. I just found it a little bit boring, but I think that might have just been me. I think, really. The Lion King 3D, which I don't think I'm pretty sure I might have seen it once when I was a kid when it sort of first came out. I thought it was okay. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that. It was just okay. I don't know, but perhaps a bit more of a kids' movie, I suppose. And it would have been perhaps a good movie, perhaps in the 90s. I mean, the 3D I thought was a little bit off as well. It didn't really seem to. I mean, originally it would have just been a 2D movie, and it was actually quite a good sort of visuals to it, really good 2D animation. I think when they tried to add 3D to it, it just didn't. I mean, it worked. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it looked, I thought really good, but other times it just didn't really seem to, didn't seem to blend very well. It didn't seem to gel very well together. But perhaps I'm being a bit hard on that, but it was alright, I thought, as a movie. Johnny English Reborn, sequel to Johnny English with Ryan Atkinson. I think Ryan Atkinson's one of the best actors of best comedy actors of of all time, especially in his early stand-up days. He was really funny and really witty. Oh, it was a good movie. I mean, some of the jokes were, obviously he was using old jokes and stuff, but they were done. They were still funny, and he was did them in a decent way, and it wasn't sort of stale. Or I thought it was a decent sort of movie. You probably don't want to go perhaps think too much about the storyline, because it was supposed to be a comedy. But it was just it was a really good movie. I thought really. Paranormal Activity #3. I think I did a bit of a review on that. As before, I haven't sort of seen part 1 and part 2, but I really like part 3. I don't have to review it as a standalone movie, but I thought it was a pretty decent sort of movie. Just good sort of old school. It wasn't much, not a lot of action to it. Just really sort of slow burning and sort of a lot of good sort of eeriness to it that I thought just really appealed to me. Next one we got is In Time, which I think it's got Justin Timberlake again, and I can't remember the female lead. A lot of people really didn't like that movie, but I actually didn't mind it. I thought it was actually quite good, really. I mean, it was a lot. The storyline obviously was a huge sort of hole perhaps in the storyline. It didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I thought, visually, and it was all right, and it had a decent sort of idea to it, and but it'd be something I'd probably watch again, and perhaps trying to understand a bit more, I guess. I thought it was pretty good. What's next? The Immortals, which is another one movie I didn't go a bit of review on. I was really hard on it. I mean, it was really good visually good movie, and a lot of people would really like that movie. As I said before, if you're going to make a movie about the Immortals, and it's like because really old tale. It's supposed to be really epic, isn't it? But it's just you need to spend more time on the storyline. I think when you want to sort of try and tackle things like this, sort of really sort of things that are sort of built in legend. You really need to have a decent storyline with it. You can't skimp out on that, in my opinion. It's fine to add really good visuals, and they were really good visuals, but they just sort of should have spent a bit more time on the storyline for that one. Okay, so my top 5. Well, I think I probably got 8 actually. Top 8 movies. No, number 8 probably would have been Paranormal Activity 3. Number 7 would have been Super 8, which I thought was a really good movie. The only thing I think disappointed me perhaps would have been perhaps the end to it. You're sort of building up to this really good. It's a really good movie. Really sort of starting to build up, and then this end comes, and it's just I just wasn't really satisfied with that. But up to that point, though, I thought it was reasonably good. Good sort of child actors, and a bit of a throwback to. I mean, I don't want to say E.T. because a lot of people don't seem to want to refer it to put it together with E.T. But I've definitely sort of a bit of E.T. theme to it, and I just good characters and good storyline, and up to the point where I get to the end, I thought it was a really good movie. What's next? Number 6 would have been Number 4, which I thought was a lot of people didn't seem to like it for some reason, but I thought it was a good storyline, good characters. I mean, it wasn't necessarily something very original, and obviously, it had a few plot holes here and there, but I couldn't see anything major sort of wrong with it. I thought it was just a really good solid sort of sci-fi type flick. Definitely worth a watch. I watched it in the cinema, and I watched it again the other day. I thought it was a really good movie. I wouldn't listen to people that say that it's not a bad movie. The people that do say that it is a bad movie, I thought it was a really good movie in my opinion. Definitely worth a watch. Next one would have been Number 5 would have been one called Wrecked, Adrian Brody. Essentially about a guy who he sort of wakes up in a car wreck, and he's just sort of lost his memory, and he's got a broken leg, and he's just about him sort of trying to crawl out of the car, and trying to get some help, I guess, because we're not and there's not much dialogue to it. We're not quite sure what's happened, or we're sort of over the movie you sort of start to get a bit more of an idea of what's happened to him. And I just thought it was a really good movie. A lot of people said it was a bit boring. I suppose because not much dialogue to it, and it's just him sort of staring at him for whatever, an hour and a half or whatever it's going to be. But I just thought it was a really good movie because you're thinking, you're sort of sitting there trying to think what he's thinking and trying to work out what's happened to him, and I just found it really sort of engrossing. This one was it wasn't on the list of the Wikipedia, but it was one called Hunter, an Australian movie set in a place called Tasmania, which I did a bit of a review of when it came out a few months ago on YouTube. Just a really good movie, a really good Australian movie, probably one of the better Australian movies I've sort of seen. So definitely, I'm running out of time, so I might just, if you want to look any of these up, just do a Google search or whatever. Next one would have been number 3 would have been Real Steel, which I just thought really good, really good boxing scenes in it, and you're sort of on the edge of your seat. You sort of your heart sort of pounding, and you just sort of the robot's getting punched, and you sort of saying, "Get up, punch him back," sort of stuff. I mean, the storyline with the father and son, trying to be reunited, and wasn't something I was necessarily perhaps sort of interested in. But I mean, that aspect of it wasn't it wasn't crap or anything. It just wasn't something perhaps that necessarily appealed to me, I guess. But I thought it was a really good movie, that one. Next one would have been number 2 would have been Source Code, which I thought was a really good movie. It's only sort of set in 3 locations. Inside a train, outside the train in the train station, and then in a little room. So it wasn't, it was very sort of simple and sort of good, solid sort of time travelling type sci-fi flick. I just thought it was really good. It had a few twists and turns to it, but you could still sort of follow reasonably easy. What was sort of happening with it. So that was a really good movie. And of course, number 1 would have had to have been Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I just thought that was really good. Totally not what I was expecting when I went to the cinema and watched it. Decent storyline, good acting. Andy Serkis did an amazing job as Caesar, acting out the moves of the ape. John Lithgow was good. Fredo Pinto, really good. It just totally blew me away. It was just totally different to what I thought it was going to be, and just really good movie. So yeah, that's my top 8, and all the movies that I watched, over the year. So yeah, that was good. So I'm pretty sure I've got a DVD update coming up sometime soon. Anyway, but till next time, I'll see you all later. Cheers.